This week, the Cleveland Indians will secure a playoff spot, at least as a wild card entry into the Fall Classic. Hopefully the Indians can continue to keep their offense consistent. I think we scored about 32 runs in the 4-game series. We just swept the Chicago White Sox. We're starting a 3-game match tonight with the Kansas City Royals. And if you paid attention last week, folks, you'll know that this Royals team can do devastation to the Cleveland Indians. Hey, man, how do you like my Forever Dogs Forever t-shirt? Coming live at you, wearing it tonight, man, right from forever.com. If you want to get your own shirt, get on their website, forever.com. That's the number 4, the word ever.com. I was at a beautiful function Saturday night. We were getting ready for some Browns football yesterday, and it was a classic with Paul Haydek, the guy that owns forever.com, was there. Cleo Miller, former Cleveland Browns running back from the glory days when the team used to win football games, and a surprise appearance by Gerald the Ice Cube McNeil. Leaf, what were you going to say, buddy?
All I was going to say, yeah, that shirt's fantastic, and here I go. I mean, you get the...
Here we go again. Leaf's going to start freaking whining.
I know. You know what? I tell you, you get everything. You reap the benefits of all of these shows. I mean, you get that beautiful shirt. You got the bat with the grip, the tater grip on it.
Tater grip, man.
I mean, you get the baseballs.
You know what? We got to bring you a baseball.
I know. I haven't gotten one thing yet, but that's okay, LG. I'm all right.
Leaf, you see that thing where the sound registers on the teleprompter there?
Yeah.
There's a little white dot up by the red. Grab that with your mouse and pull it down just a little bit, will you?
Oh, okay.
Because that gets rid of any distortion, stops us from going into the zone we don't want to be in.
Okay, you like that?
That's much better, Leaf.
Well,
much
I know.
Better,
well, I'm a beautiful producer.
Your mic was distorting a little bit.
Oh,
man.
okay.
But anyways, folks, another disappointing weekend for the Cleveland Browns, who traveled to take on the world champion Baltimore Ravens, who, by the way, played like shit yesterday. The Ravens were going to be beat. Yesterday was the day to beat this team. Unfortunately, the Cleveland Browns have a quarterback by the name of Brandon Weeden who fails continually to get the ball into the end zone. 8 quarters of professional NFL football, 1 touchdown from Mr. Brandon Weeden. I don't know if we're going to have that to worry about much longer because Brandon Weeden suffered a thumb injury to his throwing hand. At the time he was taken away, there was about 3 minutes and 41 seconds left in the game. Nobody saw this injury take place. Nobody saw Weeden seek medical advice or medical help when he went to the sidelines. If you paid attention last Monday night when the New England Patriots took on the New York Jets, you even saw Tom Brady sitting on the sidelines spraying his hand with that cold stuff that makes it real cold because his hand got hit on a helmet during one of his throws in the game. It's very unusual to see a starting quarterback getting injured like that, and yet we haven't been able to find a replay. I went through the tape myself 2 times last night trying to find a play where Brandon Weeden hit his hand on the helmet of one of the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't see it. I mean, I put it in slow-mo. You know, I went back. He says, you know, and the strange thing is Brandon Weeden himself says the injury took place sometime during his last drive out on the field. Ladies and gentlemen, the phone lines are open tonight here at the Streaming Sports Talk Studios. If you have anything you want to add about the Cleveland Browns, about the way the offensive line's playing, about the team in general, give us a call. The number to dial is 216-672-4300. Again, that's 216-672-4300. Tonight, we got the 2 remaining teams that haven't gotten a win in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals are hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers, as my buddy Fox would call them, the Schittsburg Squealers, down there in the riverfront in the Queen City, Cincinnati, Ohio. Somebody's going to win and somebody's going to lose, but who the hell are you supposed to root for in a game like this, as Fox Lopez from the East Los Angeles Browns fans posted on his Facebook page earlier? He hopes neither one of them could win. I mean, I guess it could happen. I don't know what the rules in football now are, how many quarters of overtime they're allowed to play, Leaf. Do you have any idea?
I haven't the slightest idea, but I root for Fox Lopez on that one. Neither of them win. Whatever the rule is, I'd hope it happens.
Well, getting back to Brandon Weeden yesterday, folks, before his injury, he completed 21 of 33 passes for 227 yards, a 6.9 per pass average. He had a quarterback rating of 83.6, and his QBR is 26.7. Brandon Weeden is still struggling to find his way in the NFL, folks. Jason Campbell came in. As I said, there was about 3:41 left. There was probably a little less when he got pinned on the half-yard line back deep into the end zone. Campbell completed only 1 of 4 passes he threw for 6 yards. The biggest play of the game came on a pass interference call when Campbell was trying to hit one of his receivers out of the end zone. Unfortunately, folks, Trent Richardson carried the ball 18 times for a total of 58 yards. So there you have it, folks. Richardson has 47 yards in week 1 and 58 yards in week 2. Not conducive of what I would call a bust-ass great running back. Hey, you're alive on the show with LG, the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Who's calling?
Chris from Youngstown.
Hey, Chris, what's up, man?
Oh, nothing much.
You want to talk a little Browns football?
Yes.
What's your observation so far in the 2013 season?
Oh, well, obviously I'm disappointed. Very disappointed. The offense especially.
What offense?
Yeah, it's defensive, definitely.
So, Chris, let me ask you a question. Now that Weeden has a thumb injury, did you by any chance happen to see the particular play where he bashed his hand on a Baltimore Ravens helmet?
No, unfortunately, I was at work. I was listening to it on the radio.
Okay, and did you hear anybody like Jimmy Donovan saying, hey, Weeden just bashed his hand on a helmet and it looks like he got injured?
Yeah, after they pulled him out the game, but at the time, I guess when the injury actually occurred, no, I didn't hear him say anything.
How long you been watching football, Chris?
I'm 40 years old. I've been watching football since about 1980. Cardiac Kids season when I was 7 years old.
Absolutely, man. I remember the Cardiac Kids, Brian Sipe, Sam Ritigliano's a personal friend of mine, great guy. But, Chris, have you ever seen a starting quarterback, get injured where we haven't seen any television replays, man?
That is a little bit unusual.
I mean, usually you see the guy, he's standing there shaking his hand, throwing it. You've bashed your hand at work, I'm sure, right? Your first reaction is you're shaking the hell out of your hand, trying to get the sting out of it, right?
Absolutely. I manage an auto parts store.
Yeah, and
I brought alternators and everything on my hands and feet over the years. Yeah, you jumping like a man on fire.
We didn't see any of that coming out of Brandon Weeden, man. Do you think possibly, and I'm just throwing this out there, man, do you think possibly this is a way to get Brandon Weeden off the playing field without letting him lose face?
I don't think so. I don't think so. We're reaching a little bit there, Larry. I don't think it's quite that bad.
Well, I'm reaching.
Quite honestly,
I just think it's a little odd.
That bad.
I just think
he didn't play that bad.
Not yesterday. I thought yesterday was one of his better games. I mean, Norv Turner did an excellent job calling plays not to get Brandon Weeden in trouble. You saw there was some good coverage in the Baltimore Ravens secondary, which is another bothersome thing because the Cleveland Browns were facing a Ravens team that doesn't really have that great of a secondary. You've seen what Peyton Manning did to the Ravens a couple of weeks ago.
He lit him up.
Yeah, 7 touchdowns. I mean, obviously, Manning is the greatest quarterback to ever play the game, and you saw what he did to his little brother Eli yesterday. It was
he dog walking.
Yeah. What do you think it's going to take before the Cleveland Browns smarten up and get a quarterback on the caliber of one of these guys that we see on so many different teams, Chris?
It's sad to say, but it looks like next year we're going to be drafting the same old stuff. We're going to probably have to draft 2 receivers because Josh Gordon, he's just a pill or a sip of syrup away from getting out the league. And I don't trust the guy. I don't trust him. And Great Little is definitely a bum. Then, the quarterback, I mean, it's just, I'm not really seeing enough where this guy should be I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in him anymore. I mean, I used to be a real big Weeden supporter, but he seems like he just doesn't do enough at times.
Well, first of all, the guy has 2 left feet, and he can't scramble. He can't get out of the pocket. You know, the NFL has become so defensive dominant these days. I mean, you're breeding these guys that are excellent pass rushers. Every elite team in the NFL is an elite team because they can bring pressure to the quarterback. If you watch the Seattle Seahawks take on the San Francisco 49ers, they gave one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL a lesson on how to play football last night. They held Colin Kaepernick to 3 points all night long, man. The guy couldn't do anything, and this is a guy that can really light it up, and he can really move. He was sacked 3 times. So the NFL, you got to have a mobile quarterback. Brandon Weeden is not that guy, man.
No, he isn't. And I'm telling you, our receivers, they don't help him much either.
No, they're not
helping. He
helping.
doesn't get a lot of help.
You got to wonder, though.
That line is terrible.
Let me ask you a question, though. Obviously, you didn't see the game because you just said you listened to it on the radio. But did you hear the play where Obadiah was all by himself all the way down the sidelines, and Weeden missed him by 15 yards, man? I mean, it wasn't even close to being a catchable football.
I saw the highlight or the low light, actually. It kind of reminded me of the Maurice Claret play against Michigan back in 2002, except Princeton actually hit him in stride.
Right.
The same wheel route.
Well, you know what kills me, man? I watched Johnny Manziel Saturday, and in the first 6 minutes of the play, he ran the ball down the field 2 times and scored 2 touchdowns with less than 6 minutes used off the clock. He was hitting his receivers in stride, and he was lacing that ball in there to a couple of spots that were just unbelievable that this guy could make that throw. So you're right.
Oh, yeah, he's a nice talent.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people don't like him.
Yeah, he's kind of a jerk, but, I mean, he got an edge. You know, in the NFL, he can get paid. He doesn't have to worry about ducking and dodging, getting a little bit of money slid, a little payola.
Absolutely, man.
But, well, one more thing, and I'll let you go.
Okay.
But I didn't understand, you know, on third downs, they don't have Richardson in the game. Like on that goal line series they had in that first or second drive in the first quarter. Listen, Larry. You know, I understand they ran him twice on that drive. I mean, he still got positive yards. But at 3rd and 3, I'm sorry, I'm running him twice. That's 4-down territory.
I agree with you 100%. And, you know, Richardson does his best work getting to the outside. And when you're in a goal line situation, obviously they're going to stack that line and they're going to try to stop you from scoring a touchdown. I would have pitched the ball out to Richardson and let him go around the end. I guarantee you he probably could have beat somebody to the end zone. I mean, that's what the guy is good at doing. We had 1st and goal from the 7-yard line, man. 1st and goal from the 7-yard line, and we had, you know, it all depends how you look at it. We could have took 4 cracks at it, but
that's what I would have done.
Yeah, I mean, we took a crack at a couple 4th downs yesterday, which was a little bit. And we took a crack at a 4th and 1 when we were deep in our own territory, man. So when you're 1st and goal, I mean, that's better than a punt. So what? We got 3 points on the board. You're not gonna win in the NFL kicking field goals. We've proved that for the last 14 years, haven't we, man?
Absolutely, and that was a golden opportunity. You could have sent them a message from like that would have changed the whole game. That wheel route that Weeden missed. I mean, that was it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't even understand where that throw came from. He didn't even get it close to any intended receivers. And when you're 1st and goal from the 7 and you miss a guy in the end zone like that, it's ridiculous, man. So I'm agreeing with you, man. I don't think Weeden's the answer. It's going to be interesting to see which direction Chudzinski heads into now, because he said today he's got 2 options available. He will not commit to Jason Campbell. It could be Brian Hoyer up against the Minnesota Vikings come next Sunday, man.
And Hoyer does move a little bit.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, that's not a god-awful thing.
No, I think it's going to be good.
Thing that really irritates me, you know, we don't have a true fullback on this team.
Absolutely not.
And like you said, Lawrence Vickers is out here right now.
He's still sitting back waiting for somebody to call him.
I mean, it's unbelievable because every offense North Turner had that's been successful. Like in Dallas, they had the Moose.
Well,
then he had Lorenzo Neal over in San Diego. You know, we have Trent. He needs to lead blocker.
Absolutely.
He does.
Let me bring something up to you, man. You brought up an interesting thing. You said Dallas. Did you happen to see what Dallas did yesterday, man? I mean, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. They had 37 yards rushing. You know why they had 37 yards rushing? Because they didn't have Lawrence Vickers back there making holes for that running back. You go back through the history, Chris. You look at all the games Dallas played last year with Lawrence Vickers in the backfield. Never once did Dallas have a rushing game with only 37 yards rushing, man.
Because Lawrence Vickers, the best play he ever made as a Brown when Jamal Lewis scored that 64-yard touchdown against the Bengals,
right.
Second game of the year. You know, Vickers crushed the outside linebacker. And he sprung Lewis for that run.
Absolutely.
Clearly.
And let's not only talk about with the running game, Lawrence Vickers gives you another dimension with a bad offensive line. This is a guy that's going to help you protect your quarterback. That's number one. Number two, he can help this offensive line because he's been in the game of football for 6 or 7 years. You know, I think it would be his 8th season if somebody signed him this year. He could instruct these offensive lines how to run block, man.
Sure, and he played in Chudzinski's offense before for 2-3 years.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, Chud knows him. There's no doubt about it. But I'm a little bit skeptical if Chud is the right guy. I understand it's only 2 games in, but man, you know what? There's 8 new coaches in the NFL for 2013. Only 2 of those coaches are 0-2 right now, and unfortunately, Chudzinski is one of them.
Exactly. And it seems like to me he was just like you know how you get the girl at 2 o'clock in the morning when the bar closed. That's what it kind of seems to me.
Oh, you're right, man.
They couldn't get all the hot babes, so we're gonna get this big ugly one.
Right, and that's what we got, a big ugly coach now. That's not really making an impact.
It's a crude analogy. Please forgive me, but
no, you hit it. You hit the nail right on the head, man. Because as soon as we didn't get Chip Kelly, you know what? I'm not even so sure I wanted Chip Kelly here, but I got to tell you, Chris, we should have went after Bruce Arians. That's what we should have went after.
That was my pick. That was my choice, Larry. That was my choice.
Right. There's no doubt we should have went after Bruce Arians, man. I think
Pittsburgh hasn't been the same since he left.
No, they have not. And you saw that Ben Roethlisberger threw a fit the day that Bruce Arians walked out the door in Pittsburgh. He's never been happy since Arians left. We saw what Arians did with the Colts last year. He had a rookie quarterback. He took over the head coach and the offensive coordinator position when Picano went down with the leukemia. I mean, what more do you need, man? This is the guy I would have hired for this team. It's almost like Jimmy Haslam is setting up the Cleveland Browns to fail.
You know what? I had one of my buddies who's a Steeler fan. He said that to me today. He was like, don't be surprised if you guys be in L.A. one day. I hate to say it, but I don't trust this guy.
No, how can you trust the guy that screwed all these independent truckers out of all that money, plus all these trucking companies?
Exactly. I mean, he's obvious. His character is obviously suspect, and I don't trust the guy. No, I just don't.
I don't either, man. I wrote a lot of articles about this, and I get attacked constantly, as you're probably well aware of, Chris, that these people are sold hook, line, and sinker on this new regime. And why would you be sold on a regime that is totally unproven? I mean,
absolutely.
What did this guy prove? Just like Brandon Weeden. This is the year Weeden was supposed to prove himself. You know, he won 5 games with the Cleveland Browns last year. I understand it's not all on the quarterback, but your quarterback is your leader, and Brandon Weeden is definitely not that guy.
Yeah, I mean, times when he needs to make plays, he has to make them. I mean, just like with the wheel route yesterday, he has to hit that throw. He has to. You know, and I mean, a lot of the drops obviously aren't his fault with Greg Little. But by the way, Greg Little got picked up last night.
Right, he got his car impounded.
Yeah, And that shows you where his focus is.
He got a ticket, but he dropped it.
Yeah, that's about right.
Then they ticketed him.
Incredible to me.
Yeah. Then they ticketed him for littering too.
And I'm like, all right, you gotta probably ride around in some kind of Bentley or something high end, and you don't got a driver's license.
Yeah, I don't even understand that, man.
How stupid is that?
And I bet he's got a plate on the back that says Greg Little, too. That way you're really bringing attention to yourself with the police, because he certainly gets pulled over often enough, doesn't he?
Exactly. It's criminal how dumb this guy is.
That's like
the sad part about it. They say he works hard in practice, but it just doesn't translate to the field.
Well, you know what? And I'm not trying to defend Greg Little. I'm not going to defend anybody. But we saw Devon Best drop a few passes yesterday too.
Yes, he did.
And Best is a possession receiver, man. This is a guy that And then last week they mislabeled the guy that tipped the ball when it was like a screen pass coming out of the backfield. That was Chris Ogbonnaya that dropped that ball or tipped it, and it was one of the interceptions. You know what? I'm not trying to defend these receivers, but I have to tell you something. Weeden lacks the touch on the football. He may be throwing fastballs all the time, and these guys, man, if this ball, you see these guys, they put that little bit of a touch on a football. When somebody's 7 yards away from you, you can't be firing 95-mile-an-hour footballs at him. You know what I'm saying?
No, you can't. He might have that problem. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Derek Anderson.
Right. Absolutely.
A lot. He's like a smaller version of Derek Anderson.
Right. So that could be a problem, man. It could be the touch that he's lacking to, we saw it last year too, Chris. How many times did we see him try to throw that little fade into the end zone? He never could even get it into the corner of the end zone. We had the worst red zone offense in the entire NFL last year, man.
Yeah, that's just absurd. But another thing, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but how about our backup receivers like Gurley and Cooper? They couldn't be any worse than these guys that are dropping passes right now.
Well, I got to tell you something. I would think Cooper would be better because he played with Weeden at Oklahoma State, and we saw it last year. Cooper came into a few game-time situations, and that was his outlet receiver. He pulled off a couple third-down plays. I mean, we're doing shit right now, man, on third down. I mean, we were 1 for 14. Why not try Cooper? But I got to tell you something. The problem with Chazinski is he's the kind of guy, and this goes all the way back to the Carolina Panthers. I could prove this to you, man. He's the kind of guy when he gets a wild hair up his ass against somebody, or somebody pisses him off, or somebody rubs him the wrong way, he's not going to play that player, man. It's the same thing. Yeah. It's the same thing with O'Neal Cousins on the offensive line. After a guy pulls off 4 penalties that cost your team a chance for victory last week, why wouldn't you try Gilkey on the offensive line? What does this guy?
Couldn't have done any worse.
How could he?
I thought Gilkey played decent in the preseason.
Right. How could he do any worse than that, man? And, we didn't hear Cousins' name being called yesterday, so that's a plus. Something improved, but the entire offensive line as a unit is struggling. And when you have a struggling unit that's out there to protect your quarterback and try to do a little bit of run blocking, and if it's not working, man, try another piece of the puzzle. What do you have to lose at that point?
And Mitchell Schwartz kind of scares me, too, because they kind of built him up. And he's a top 10 right tackle and this and that. And I don't see it. I don't see it this year. He's even getting his butt whooped, too.
Well, let's talk about that for 1 second, Chris, before I let you go. Mitchell Schwartz did a hell of a job last year. But now he's carrying O'Neal Cousins on his back. He does not have enough NFL experience, Mitchell Schwartz, to carry a guy on his back for an entire football game, man. I'm sorry. He's not Joe Thomas. He's not Alex Mack. He can't do it. You put a weak link next to Mitchell Schwartz, and he has to fill the role for 2 guys. He can't do it, man. I mean, you're asking a lot from Mitchell Schwartz. So, he took a hell of a beating last week. He did better this week.
He did. But I'm going to tell you, this team right now could have been a contender. I'm going to give you 2 things here I want you to think about. In 2009, Mangini might have had the worst draft in the history of this league. That second round, we didn't get nothing out of all three players he drafted. They're all gone. Yeah, they're all gone. Robisky, Massaquoi, and Vekune.
Right.
Wasted draft.
Right.
Wasted. You know, two receivers you drafted in the second round, neither one of them are crap.
Right. Well, Massaquoi might have turned out to be something if he didn't suffer all those concussions, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he showed,
might have dimension.
out of Robisky and Massaquoi, Massaquoi did show some promise until James Harrison kicked the hell out of him, you know?
Oh, yeah, I hope he gives Roethlisberger some of that tonight.
That's what I'm waiting to see, man. That's going to be exciting to see if James Harrison...
One more thing. That Julio Jones, us not getting him, that's biting us in the ass right now.
Oh, man,
that's
every time...
haunt us for years.
Every time I watch the Falcons play football, and I mean, that guy lit it up yesterday. I think he had 187 yards of receptions in the game with the Atlanta Falcons yesterday, man. And one of them was an 84-yard reception.
I saw that one.
The guy's a beast.
He might turn out to be better than A.J. Green.
He probably will be. He probably will be.
They both were great players. It seemed like Heckert lost his mind when he couldn't get A.J. Green. Julio Jones sitting right there. You're going to draft, keep on going all the way back until you get Phil Taylor. You can get a fat guy anywhere.
I'm sitting right here, baby.
Exactly.
No, but seriously, man, I agree with you 100%. A.J. Green should have been a Cleveland Brown when we didn't get him. And if you go back and you do a search for Cleveland Sports 360 and Julio Jones, you'll see. I wrote an article before that draft. I said the Cleveland Browns got to take Julio Jones, man. No doubt about it. We need Julio Jones. What a difference maker that would have been, huh?
Yeah, he's a playmaker. And Phil Taylor's a decent player. He's a good player. But,
Phil Taylor kind of, what the hell was Phil Taylor thinking yesterday to take a frickin' personal foul? You don't go into Baltimore, okay? The first couple plays of the game, Phil Taylor gets flagged for a personal foul. He's fighting with frickin' Ray Rice. What the hell do you think? What was he thinking, man? You don't give a team like the Baltimore Ravens extra downs. You know what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah, any kind of advantage.
Yeah,
any kind of advantage.
He
he hurt us yesterday, and you could see, like you said, with what Julio Jones did and what Phil Taylor did, it was in black and white. This guy's a playmaker helping this team win games. This guy's killing us.
Well, he certainly, he got away with it because the defense held up and they didn't let Baltimore score. But I got to tell you, man, when I saw that on the third play of the game, and I said, son of a bitch, he gave him a first down when we could have had those guys. You know what I mean? Thank God it wasn't the Flacco's offense of old, because he would have buried us yesterday, and you don't give a guy like that extra downs.
Oh, my God. I mean, our defense is, all this good defense is going away.
We saw, unfortunately, we saw the same scenario play out 2 or 3 years ago. We had a killer defense. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't stop the run, but, man, nobody threw against the Cleveland Browns. Now we could stop the run. We still need to pick up the defensive secondary play a little bit, and we need to figure out a way to get these. Jabal Sheard's playing a new position now with the outside linebacker. We got to get him trained in focusing, playing in space a little bit better, because he's got to stop that over the middle and intermediate stuff that's killing us. We saw it in the Miami game, and we saw it a little bit yesterday too, man.
Yeah, it really hurt us too. I didn't understand why they got rid of JMJ. I thought he was a solid player.
I like the guy, man. I like the guy.
Solid player.
Hey, Chris, we got to take a commercial break, man, but thanks for calling in, man, and, give us a call again.
Absolutely. Very nice talking to you.
Take care, buddy. There you have it, folks. A Browns fan that's losing his patience with the team. He's been a lifelong Browns fan like so many of us are, and I don't know what we're going to do this year here in Cleveland. Obviously, we're off to an 0-2 start. We're going to talk a little bit more about it when we come back with more of the Cleveland 360 show, Cleveland Sports 360 show. Give us a call. The phone lines are open. The number to dial is 216-672-4300. Again, it's 216-672-4300. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't forget, see this shirt? You can get your own forever.com. The number 4, the word ever. So it's forever.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show with your host, LG. LG, take it away.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. I am your host, LG, and on the phone with us right now, I believe we have Amanda all the way down in Cincinnati, Ohio, getting ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Amanda, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, we can hear you. What's going on down there? Where are you at? And tell us what the atmosphere is like.
We are at Longworth Hall, and it is a party because the Cincinnati Bengals are going to kick the Pittsburgh Steelers' butt.
Well, you know, you're calling the Cleveland Sports 360 show, and we're not big Bengals fans here, but I got to tell you, I may be rooting for the Cincinnati Bengals tonight strictly because I want to see Ben Roethlisberger get his asshole beat off. Is there any way that you think...
I'm sorry that the Cleveland Browns couldn't finish what they started on Sunday afternoon.
Leaf, turn that number 7 down just a hair, man. Say that again. What did you say?
I'm so we're sorry that the Cleveland Browns couldn't finish what they started Sunday afternoon.
Well, we have a way of doing that here in Cleveland, and obviously you couldn't have wished for anything better because now your Bengals have a chance to tie for first place in the AFC North. Hoo-day! Is that what you guys hoo-day, right? Wow, they're down there partying for the...
That's the biggest thing this fans ever. She is here with me. She knows everything there is to know about the Cincinnati Bengals.
Who does?
Patty Heller.
Well, put her on the phone here.
She's right here.
Who the hell we talking to now?
The hell are you talking to is Megan.
Hey, Megan, how are you? What's going on down there? Where are you at right now?
Well, Longworth Hall having a Bengals party.
A Bengals party. Now, do you think tonight James Harrison's going to kick the shit out of Ben Roethlisberger? That's what we want to know here in Cleveland.
James Harrison is going to have a good old time stacking Ben Roethlisberger, yes.
Do you think he's going to knock him out of the football game?
He's going to knock him out of the football game if I had to predict.
Okay, man, we're going to count on that then, because nothing the Browns fans like better than to see Ben Roethlisberger get his ass kicked a little bit.
I think every fan loves to see Roethlisberger on his back.
Right. So tell me, is there a lot of little yellow towels being waved in your face yet?
Oh, hell no. There is no yellow towel waving down here because only little bitches wave with yellow towels.
So what's your prediction for tonight's game, Megan?
21-14 Bengals.
21-14 Bengals. That's it? That's it? That's all you guys can muster out of this?
That's all I got. We're going to play conservative. We're not going to let them get beat out. We don't want them to look bad. We just want to beat their ass.
Well, I don't think that this is a very good Pittsburgh Squealers team that you're taking on tonight.
I think you're right. But I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
The Pittsburgh Squealers kind of sucked this year. What's your thought on that?
They do kind of suck if they lose to Kansas City.
Hey, I got to tell you something. I think Alex Smith and Andy Reid are making a world of difference out there with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. What the hell is that? We can't hear you.
There's a train.
A train?
Yeah. Listen, you never know what you're going to get. I got a train.
You got a train that runs through the stadium or what?
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, it's gone.
Okay, man, that's good. That's good. All right, well, it's good to hear that you got confidence that Ben Roethlisberger is going to get his butt kicked tonight because, like I said earlier, we love to see that. And 21-14 is your prediction, right? Hey, we're live on the air here with the Cleveland Sports 360 show. You got to call us at 216-672-4300. Again, it's 216-672-4300. We got some Bengals fans on the phone getting ready to see Ben Roethlisberger get his ass kicked tonight by James Harrison. So, Megan, do you think that Harrison...
The train is coming through.
The train's coming through again?
It's a little obnoxious.
I would think so. What happens when the game starts? Do they stop running these trains or what?
Hell yeah, Cincinnati, baby. Everything stops when the Bengals play.
Hey, where's Robbie Horman at?
Hold on, you want to talk to him?
Sure, put him on. Hold on, we're going to switch over. We'll be right back. Switch over real quick, Leaf. Hey, you're live on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Who do we got?
LT, Joe Monaco.
Hey, Joe, hang on 1 minute, man. Hold on. We're going to come right back to you. We got some Cincinnati fans calling in live from the stadium. We're coming right back to you, Joe. Switch over, Leaf. Hello.
CS360 LG, talk to me.
Who is this, man? Is this Robbie Horman?
This is RH. How you doing, LG?
Hey, RH, what the hell do you think's going to happen tonight? Is this the night that Ben Roethlisberger is going to get his Pittsburgh Squealers' asses kicked or what?
Hey, this is the night that Jerome Harrison wakes the fuck up and he comes out and he sacks the shit out of fucking Ben Roethlisberger. 92 is going to dismantle this guy tonight. You know that?
Well, you know, I'm hoping you're right, man, because there's nothing we like better than to see the Pittsburgh Squealers.
LG,
Yeah.
LG, you like to hear this? In 2 weeks, when we come up to Cleveland, Jerome Harrison's going to give him a little piece of that Brandon Weeden, too. You know that?
If he's back, Whedon's hurt, man. He hurt his thumb. It was a mysterious play that nobody's seen it happen yesterday, Robbie.
Tell him to take that thumb out of his ass and let's go. 2 weeks.
You know, usually you see a replay, you see the quarterback shaking his hand, you see him jumping up and down in excruciating pain. We didn't see any of that with Weeden yesterday. What do you make out of that, RH?
Oh, I think that Jerome Harrison is sending him a couple pills of Advil to get healthy so that he can put him right back on his ass. You know what I mean?
I hear you, man. I hear you. So what's your...
Because he's surgery after Harrison's done with him.
You know...
His player might be there. You know that, right?
Right. But let me ask you a question. What's your prediction for the Pittsburgh Squealers tonight, man?
27-13.
27-14?
13.
13.
Bengals over Pittsburgh. 27-13.
You think they're going to get the...
Roethlisberger is cleared off by the third quarter.
All right, man. There you have it. All right, well, good luck to you guys. I hope you can kick the shit out of Ben Roethlisberger, Ben Rapistberger, whatever they call him these days. And there's nothing we like better than seeing the Pittsburgh Squealers getting the hell pounded out of them, man.
That's right. Give me one more time. Hooray! Hooray!
There they go. Hooday Nation down there at the Queen City in Cincinnati. Good luck to you guys. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. You got it? Switch us over, Leaf. Hey, we're back with the Cleveland Sports 360 show. That was our live report. Those people tailgating, coming live at the Queen City down there in Cincinnati, where they're looking to take on the Pittsburgh Squealers tonight and beat the hell out of Ben Roethlisberger. And there's nothing we like better, man, than seeing Roethlisberger on his back. Did you switch us over back to Joe Monaco there? Joe, you hear us? Joe. Hey, Joe. Joe. Hello?
What's going on, buddy?
Joe Monaco. Joe, you hear us?
How are you? I
That's,
can hear you loud and clear, man.
hey, we're doing great, man. We just got off the phone with some Hooday Nation down there at the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's a tough Monday night football game. We don't want to root for the Bengals, and we don't want to root for the Squealers either, but we definitely would rather see the Bengals do some damage to the Pittsburgh Squealers rather than to see the Squealers come out on top in this one. You hear what I'm saying, Joe?
I hear you loud and clear, LG, all the way down from Nashville, man. And I'll tell you what, I think James Harrison, being that he was released from Pittsburgh, is going to
Payback time.
throwing it on Roethlisberger.
Payback time, huh, Joe?
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Joe, I want
to.
to touch on something with you a little bit, and then we're going to get into some tribe talk, because Joe Monaco is our expert Indians analysis man. He's all the way down in Nashville. He pays attention to every swing of the bat, every pitch they throw, and every move that the Indians make. But before we go there, Joe Monaco, what do you think of this Brandon Weeden situation, taking the Cleveland Browns to an 0-2 start with the new head coach, Rob Chizzinski, and this Weeden thumb injury? I'm a little suspect of this, Joe, because we didn't see this injury take place. We didn't see any replays of it. And throughout my entire life of watching football on television, Joe, every time somebody gets hurt, I've seen guys getting poked in the eye where they go through the replay tape and they show you that. Somehow they happen to find it. What's your thoughts on this Weeden thumb injury, Joe?
Well, let me ask you this. There's a story out today from Cleveland.com. I don't know how true it is. It might be something out there that somebody's throwing out there, but I thought maybe because you can confirm it, but Mike Trevisano said that he's a good source that he hurt his thumb really bad, and that he may be out for a long time, if not the rest of the season. And then I see ESPN saying that Weeden will likely be out for the game, and that he doesn't. Coach Chud doesn't know who he's going to go with, Hoyer or he's going to go with Campbell. He hasn't named a starter yet.
Well, I obviously saw that. I saw the story about Chizzinski's NFL interview today, and Chizzinski's definitely not going to name a starter, and he's definitely playing games. And I got to be honest with you, Joe, I think he's leaning towards Brian Hoyer. And I'm not so sure Chizzinski's calling the shots on this. It may go up to the front office with Joe Banner and Mike Lombardi.
Well, I tell you what, I was thinking the same thing. Jason Campbell didn't. I know you don't get the snaps with the regular first team, but he didn't look smooth yesterday when Weeden got knocked out.
Well, don't forget, Joe. The game was already out of reach. He's pinned back on the half. Yeah. He's on the half-yard line, Joe. He's on the half-yard line. He doesn't even try to run the ball out of the end zone. He tries to, the best play of the game was that pass interference call for the Cleveland offense coming out of the end zone. Think about it. That was one of the longest pass plays of the game was right there, man.
Yes, and he had Weeden when he was playing. He had a Banye down the sideline wide open.
Obaganya, yeah, Chris Obanaya, yeah. Yeah, well, he missed him by 15 yards, Joe. That guy was gone for 6. He was gone for 6 at that point in the game.
And the first drive there, when they were inside the red zone on the 5-yard line, inside the 5-yard line.
First and goal, Joe. First and goal from the 7-yard line, man.
That's that play calling by North Turner and Chud.
Well, let's face it.
Why are they running T-Rich up the middle? Why don't they spread him outside?
Absolutely. But let's talk about something, Joe. We've seen it for years with great running backs in the NFL, and I'm not so sure Trent Richardson fits the bill as a great running back in the NFL, at least not yet, Joe. Okay? He's got 2 games in the 2013 season. He had 47 rushing yards in week 1 and 58 yesterday. As a matter of fact, this statistic's going to roast you in a minute, Joe. Brandon Weeden had a higher yard per average per carry than Trent Richardson. Obviously, Richardson carried the ball for 58 yards on 18 carries. He had a 3.2 average. Weeden carried it twice, and he had a 3.5 average, Joe. So there's a guy with 2 left feet. There's a guy with 2 left feet that ran for a more yard per average than Trent Richardson did yesterday, and I'm sorry to say that, folks.
Yep. And check this out, LG. I think there's 2 parts that contribute to that. I think the first is T-Rich can't run because the guards are no good. There's no guards. He can't. There's no holes for him to run up the middle, and all you do is try to run outside the tackles. That's what he's having a problem. And the second part of it is the play calling, because the play calling has been horrible. Just absolutely horrible. It's Roger Shermer back there coaching last year.
I could have swore, Joe, on week 1 they brought Pat Shermer's playbook out of Berea by mistake. They might have found a copy of it, and North Turner got confused. But you know what, Joe? Yep. I don't know if you follow us on the ClevelandSports360.com website. If you have a chance to read the articles we put out, I put out an article on StreamingSportsTalk.com, I think it was last night, that said, now we know why North Turner was fired from the San Diego Chargers. 2 weeks of watching Norv Turner's play calling. His better football days are behind him. Let's face it, folks, Norv Turner could have rode in on the Jimmy Johnson coattails down there in Dallas with Troy Aikman and the great running backs that they had, because he certainly was unable to do it on his own, Joe.
Let me tell you this, LG. Just the final piece on Weeden real quick. I'm going to put two scenarios out there real quick. The first one is, since 1990, or since even Bernie Kosar, we have not had a franchise quarterback.
No, we have not.
And that's what's killing this organization. Because first of all, look how Ryan Tannehill. He was a rookie last year, correct?
Right.
He came in, and you can see marked improvement in these first two games. I know the season's early, but
he's 2-0 right now, Joe. He's 2-0.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a quarterback that's showing marked improvement.
And you want to know what, Joe? Joe, those Colts got a tough defense, too. You saw what they did to Brandon Weeden.
Right. Yep. I did see that. And then the second part of it is, look at Andrew Luck. They don't even miss Peyton Manning in Indianapolis because they got a franchise quarterback.
Right.
And that's just think if they would have drafted a quarterback that was like Weeden caliber, and he's starting right now, Indianapolis would be falling to the turf right now.
Absolutely. And look at Russell Wilson with the Seattle Seahawks, what they did last night. Wilson took a beating. He kept ticking like an old Timex watch, Joe. He took a beating and kept ticking, and he managed to find a way to beat the 49ers. And not only did they beat them into submission, Joe.
But you know what? I think San Francisco, doesn't matter what team or what era it is, they always have a hard time winning in Seattle.
Right.
You know, I mean, they always do. I don't care if it was Montana, if it was Steve Young, if it was, another guy, the quarterback.
Well, those guys were all bums you just mentioned, Joe.
Yeah.
Steve Young,
right?
Joe Montana, they're bums. What do you expect? They're not going to win with those guys, are they?
Nope.
Small guys that can't throw the ball over the offensive linemen. Steve Young, Joe Montana, just like Colt McCoy, right, Joe?
Yep. Look at Kansas City. Kansas City just got that quarterback. New offensive system, new offensive play calling. Andy Reid, first-year coach there. Got that quarterback from San Francisco, and they're 2-0. Now go figure that out.
Well, look at what I wrote today, Joe. Okay? Yep. There's 8 brand new coaches in the NFL to start the 2013 season. There's only 2 that don't have a win yet. Chazinski's one of them, and the guy in Jacksonville's the other one.
That's right. They're all
Arians has got to win. Chip Kelly's got to win. Chip Kelly should have had 2 wins. He shot himself in the foot yesterday. He mismanaged the clock. He gave the ball back to those guys with far too much time. You don't give. It's 2 minutes, Joe. The guy gives the ball back. I mean, he should have ran. He 3 incomplete passes to stop the clock, Joe. Chip Kelly lost that game. Otherwise, Michael Vick threw for like 425 yards yesterday, man.
You thought Aaron Rodgers had 335 yards in the first half. Against Washington's defense.
And Washington's defense isn't doing as good as they used to, but, Aaron Rodgers is a hell of a quarterback. Yeah, we made a big mistake drafting Brandon Weeden. I've said it since day one. Weeden is not an NFL franchise quarterback, and he's never going to be, Joe. And I got to tell you something, Joe. If the Browns decide to go with Brian Hoyer, okay, and I think that is the wise choice because we saw what he did with Chicago, and Chicago's a good football team. I don't care if you got the second-round guys out there, the third. These guys are good football players. They're 2-0 right now, Joe.
Yeah, look at Cutler. He's playing great for Chicago.
Well, look what they got. A brand new coach, Joe, who's 2-0 by the name of Mark Trestman, who the Cleveland Browns should have been familiar with this guy. He is the guy that Bernie Kosar has a lot of faith in. Why don't the Browns ever go back to a guy? That guy's like a professor of quarterbacking, Joe. He's taking a mediocre guy like Jay Cutler, and he's turning him into a premier NFL quarterback. You agree?
Yes, I totally agree. And look at the Browns could have redeemed themselves in this draft. They just go defensive line crazy, like there's no more defensive lines left in the linemen in the NFL, and they could have picked up B.J. Manuel.
Right.
You see that throw he made the other day?
Right. And you want to know what, Joe? we got all these pass rushers, which is fine and dandy, but we only got the Flacco, I think, 2 times yesterday.
Bart Mingo got one of them.
Right, and the other 2 guys were Sheard and Bryant shared one. Des Bryant and Jabal Sheard each got a half a sack. Okay, but we only got the Joe Flacco 2 times, Joe. We still got a weak defensive secondary. We got linebackers that can't drop back and protect against the pass. But you know what?
No.
We only got the Joe Flacco 2 times yesterday. You know, with all the money we put up front and all the people we brought in to get the Flacco 2 times, I don't think that's anything to brag about. Do you, Joe?
Well, no, but I like the defense because Baltimore only scored 14 points. They didn't.
Right.
Ray Rice didn't run crazy over our.
No, we shut down Ray Rice. It was the other guy that was. It was the other guy we couldn't stop. But you know, Joe, let's go to some good things right now. We talked about enough negatives here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Let's go to a positive, Joe. Here we are. It's September 16th. The Cleveland Indians are sitting a half game back in the wild card race. We just swept Chicago. We scored approximately 32 runs in the 4 games, and it was huge, man. We saw Nick Swisher set a record, tie a record, I should say, for hitting a home run from both sides of the plate. Joe, can the Cleveland Indians find postseason play, man?
I say yes. You know why? Because we don't have a tough schedule the rest of the way out. I would love to get Justin Masterson back healthy if we, to get down the stretch because we can use him. Ubaldo's stepped up big time.
Big time.
Since he's been hurt. And also, what a great, hopefully Zach McAllister's get back on track because he pitched great last night.
Right.
And the starting pitching's been there.
I'm a little bit worried tonight, Joe. Joe, I'm a little worried. We got Casimir starting against Shields. Shields is a tough opponent, and I'm just hoping that the Indians' offense can find some of the consistency that we saw in Chicago. What's your thoughts on that?
I think if they just they have a good chance to take 2 out of 3 from them. If they can take 2 out of 3, that's you got to keep winning series. You can't lose those series. The worst split, but I say the best thing they can do is take 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. And the way the schedule is, you've got like New York playing within their division against Boston or Tampa, or they're in their division playing a hard schedule. We're playing out of our division. We're playing Houston this weekend, Thursday, and I don't know if it's a 4-game set or not, but it appears to be. I haven't checked the schedule, but I think the schedule's in the Indians' favor because everybody else is knocking each other off trying to get into the playoffs.
And then you got Tampa Bay playing Texas, right?
That's correct. They're starting right now. It's 1-0 Tampa Bay now in the bottom of the 3rd inning. But the Indians are close to both wild cards right now. But right now, since they're Texas and Tampa are playing the series, you only gain on one team whoever loses right now.
Right. Exactly.
But it's just right now I think they have a great chance because look at Texas is fighting to get in, New York's fighting to get in, Kansas City's fighting to get in, Baltimore, Boston's trying to clinch division, and Oakland's cruising in the West, trying to clinch division. So I think these teams are knocking each other off the way they line up schedule-wise, and the Indians could slide in because their schedule is not facing anybody head-to-head or anybody hard the rest of the way out.
All right, let me ask you a question, Joe. Obviously, we're both impressed with the work Ubaldo Jimenez is putting in. I think a lot of credit has to go to Mickey Callaway for finally getting his guys straightened out, and also Tito Francona probably had a role in it. Obviously, Tito's been seeing a lot of great pitchers throughout his life. He used to go to the Cleveland Municipal Stadium back in the day. This is the best pitching the Tribe has had in the second half of the season since 1972, Joe.
Yeah, their starting staff, I'll tell you what, they're starting to step the Indians. Look at this way, LG. Since May, the Indians have been in contention. Yeah, they've been bouncing back and forth with Detroit. The Verlander's had a horrendous year this year. He's not very Justin Verlander-like. Max Scherzer, if he hasn't gone off to his great start this year and had a phenomenal season he had, the Indians could be right there if they would have played 500 with them.
Well, obviously, that's when our offense was not as consistent as I would have liked to seen it. But let me get back to this Jimenez thing. We got about a minute and a half left, Joe. I want your opinion on something. Jimenez is coming up into a contract year. He's 12-9. Obviously, he's turning back into the Ubaldo Jimenez we were all hoping to see. Do you sign Ubaldo Jimenez to a long-term deal with the Cleveland Indians, Joe?
I do, because I think he's starting to feel comfortable under Mickey Callaway, and I think that maybe if someone's gone through his head and he's probably the green light clicked on again, and you don't give him up, because I guarantee if Detroit or New York picks him up, he's going to go win a 20-game season.
Absolutely.
And I think the Indians need to get around and sign him now, because you just can't get started enough starting pitching. And Danny Salazar next year is going to be a stud.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And we got him until what, like 2019, Joe? We don't even have to worry about long-term money with him for 6 years.
We had him. We had him signed when he was 16. He's only 23 years old.
Right. Yeah, he's going to be the next Justin Verlander. Only the Cleveland Indians have him, man. But can you imagine you start out next year, Joe? You got Salazar. You got Ubaldo, a good Ubaldo. Justin Masterson. Kluber has done a fantastic job this season. The weak link is starting tonight, Joe. If Casimir pulls off a good game tonight, we have a solid chance. We need the Tribe's offense to kick it in gear. We're gonna have to go pretty soon. You got any parting thoughts, Joe? Give it in now, baby.
Yep, I tell you what, I wish the Cleveland fans would get down there in these last home games for the season and get down there and support their team. And it's a shame.
Let me just run something by you, though, Joe. Remember the big walk-up crowds we used to get?
Yeah.
You know what the problem is now? The Cleveland Indians and Major League Baseball has switched the way that the tickets are sold, Joe. If you go the day of the game, a bleacher seat that was $12 2 days ago is now $26 with this advantage pricing or whatever they call it. And then they wonder why the attendance isn't big time. You know what I'm saying, Joe?
Yeah.
How many days did you go to the Tribe game at the last minute, man?
I mean, all the time we used to go.
Now, would you go there? Would you go there and pay more than double for the same ticket, Joe?
Probably not.
I don't know who the brainiac. I don't know who the brainiac that came up with this solution was, but it sucks, and that's why the Tribe's attendance is suffering, man. Joe, we're gonna have to let you go, man. That's it for tonight. Go Browns, go Indians, roll Tribe. Let's get a win tonight, Joe. Let's take this series in Kansas City. Thanks for calling, Joe. It's always a pleasure, buddy.
Go Browns, go Bucks, buddy. You too, buddy.
All right, man. There you have it, folks. Joe Monaco, all the way from Nashville, calling in, man. He's down there. He's a drummer. He's an avid sports guy. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for Chris. You did a great job calling in tonight. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. Amanda, RH, and whoever the hell else called us from the Cincinnati Bengals game. There you have it, folks. We had a news flash that the Bengals are predicted to win 27-14 or 21-14 over the Pittsburgh Squealers, and hopefully James Harrison reintroduces himself to Ben Rapisberger. Nothing would make the Cleveland fans happier than seeing the Rapisberger down on his back. For the Cleveland Sports 360 show, I'm LG. Don't forget tomorrow night at 6. It's Jeff Leaf with the You Gotta Be Freaking Kidding Me show. Call him tomorrow night, folks. 216-672-4300. See if you can do something to piss this guy off. I think it's impossible. God bless you. Good night. Go Buckeyes, go Browns, and go Indians.